Hey everyone, I wanted to talk really quickly about today's episode. So, at the Now conference a couple weeks ago, we were talking in the classroom management roundtable about some of the things that people have been struggling with, some of the things that have made teaching difficult. And in the course of that discussion, Jonathan Jurovich said something that stuck with me. And what it was is that he, despite all of the struggles of the past couple of years, is finding so much joy in teaching right now. Like the past couple years have been as joyful a time in teaching as he's ever experienced, and that really stuck with me. And then just a little bit later in the conference, Kandice Stewart was talking about how she's having her students, make the curriculum that they're studying themselves. She is validating their own experiences, let them kind of design their own art making experiences. And she's talked about how that has kind of reinvigorated her love for teaching. And I think both of those ideas have kind of stuck with me. And so I wanted to pull this episode from the archives today. It's from Kandice, an interview that I did with her last year that just talks about finding joy in teaching, reflecting on what we're doing. And so, anyway, thank you to Jonathan for the inspiration, and to Kandice for not only the conversation you'll hear today, but her presentation at the Now conference just a couple weeks ago. And if you did attend the Now conference, I would encourage you to jump back into the AfterPass there. You can see the whole classroom management roundtable with Jonathan and Jen Russell and Harris, and also you can view Kandice's presentation as well if you want to hear a little bit more about her co-constructing the curriculum with her students. So anyway, those are all worth checking out, but for today, here is an episode from last year with Kandice Stewart about finding joy in teaching. Welcome to Art Ed Radio, the podcast for art teachers. This show is produced by the Art of Education University, and I'm your host, Tim Bogatz. At the beginning of this school year, we talked a few times on this podcast about the idea of finding joy in our teaching this year. We were asking the question, just after a few incredibly difficult years, are teachers ready to find the joy in teaching again? And in today's episode, I want to check in on that. I know it's still early in the school year, but I've been hearing positive things from so many teachers. And as you're listening to this conversation today, I would love hearing from you. Email me, timothybogatz@theartofeducation.edu. Let me know how your year is going. Let me know if you are able to find joy in your teaching this year. But I'm going to discuss these ideas today with Kandice Stewart. Kandice is a great teacher. I am thrilled to have her on the podcast today for the first time. We've worked together before. She did a wonderful presentation back in the winter conference about reflective teaching. And I want to talk to her today about reflection and intentionality and finding joy in what we do in the classroom. So let me bring her on now. Kandice Stewart is joining me now. Kandice, how are you?
I'm doing great, Tim. How are you?
Also great. Thrilled that we finally have you on the podcast. I've been admiring your work for a long time. We worked together on the Now conference, way back when, put together an awesome presentation for that, but just excited to have you here. So thank you. We appreciate it. But I guess to begin, can you give us an introduction? Can you tell us a little bit about you, a little bit about your teaching, or anything else that you want to share with listeners?
Yeah. Well, one, I'm really grateful to be here as well and to have this time with you. It's wonderful for us to be able to connect. And thank you for this opportunity, first and foremost. As you can see, my gratitude skills, I'm exercising them, bringing in positive energy, and letting out positive energy. So thank you so much again. But yeah, I'm a high school AP art history teacher. I also teach studio art classes in New Jersey. I teach at Columbia High School, and it's a very weird place. I'll be honest. Like, my high school is like, lots of artsy kinds of people. I've got all different kinds
Hmm.
of unique and beautiful profiles and attitudes, and it's a diverse space. So lots of people from completely different places and cultures and ethnicities, and I just feel like I plopped down in this really cool, weird kind of like teen angsty utopia.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah. And so I've been there for a few years now, and this is actually my 10th year teaching. So, woo woo, 10 years and many more to go. So, yeah, I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to share, my path and journey. I'm also a doctoral student at Columbia
Hmm.
University at the Teachers College program. So, whoop whoop for anybody who's studying art education at Columbia and you're listening in. Shout out.
Not sure how big that audience is, but I'm glad we can give them a shout out. So
Yeah. Yeah, we're small. We're small. Oh my gosh, it's true. We really are like a little small group of people.
that's good. That's what our teachers do best. We just have the little niche areas, and we do well fitting into those, and I think
Agreed.
that's good. So that works. Okay, so I really wanted to talk about just kind of reflection. I feel like we talk all the time on this podcast about
Yeah.
how important it is, why it's so beneficial to us as teachers to reflect, why it's so important for us to do that, and I think we'll ask people listening to do that today as well. But we had you at the Now conference earlier this year to kind of speak about that same topic. And I'd much rather have you talk about it than me. So could you just kind of share some of your ideas, or talk about your view on reflection and why it's beneficial, why it's important for teachers?
Yeah, absolutely. And I can even go over how I've been doing it a little bit differently this year. So,
Oh,
um,
yes, yes.
so for the Now conference, my presentation was on reflective teaching, mind, body, and spirit. And I just genuinely believe that when we are bringing our entire selves into what we're doing, we're able to acknowledge other students' entire selves too within the process. So I've been trying my best to center on not just like how I'm feeling, because if we focus too much on
Mhm.
just how we're feeling, we're going to feel tired. It's a hard job. It's not simple,
Yes,
right?
yes.
But I've been reflecting on my mindset. So what am I thinking going into the day? How is my body feeling? How's my body navigating the classroom? Spirit wise, am I on a high spirit today or am I a low spirit today? And if I just think about that for myself, um, and then I get kids to think about that for themselves, I'm like honoring me and I'm also honoring them while we're honoring each other or collaborating with each other in this space, and trying to create, beautiful art. Art is something that's so personal and so unique. And I just wanted to be more honest in my career and not be like static and stagnant and depressed.
Hmm.
Yeah, I just
Hmm.
want to give my 100% self. So yeah, when I did the presentation at the Now conference, I was really heavily focused on something my mom would say. She's always like, treat others the way you want to be treated. And
Yes.
so yeah, I'm like, okay, let's look at my classroom. Let's think about my environment. Is this where I would want to make art? If not, then I need to reflect upon that and I need to, edit and alter. And then in turn, I'm also asking them, what's the space like for you? How are you feeling? Do you like it dim? Do you like it with more lighting? Do you want to sit over here, over there? Would you prefer to stand? all these things. How would you like to be assessed? What kind of content would you like to learn? Which I can get into later on. Because this year I created a curriculum with my students, or I am creating a curriculum with my students. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. I would love to hear more about that for sure. And then I guess along with that, just thinking about, how we create spaces, how we create environments that we would want to be in as well. I'm thinking about taking that a step further and just thinking about how we find joy in our teaching, because that's something on our team. We've been talking a lot about that, about how teachers can find joy in what they do. And I'd love to just kind of hear your perspective, about where you find joy in teaching. Like, what are the parts of the job that bring joy to you?
Yeah,
Or
100%.
would you like me to go first so you have a second to think about that?
I got it, but you
Okay.
can go first. I want to hear how are
Um,
you finding joy?
I don't know. I think for me, just connections with students, are always a big thing. Like when you find something that you can connect with, whether it's through the art making or through just conversations about anything else going on with their life. I think anytime you have a moment that you can connect with them, I think that's really valuable. I think that's something to be celebrated. And for me as a teacher, and also for my students, anytime there's an aha moment, like we talk
Mm,
about the proverbial light bulb going on. Whenever I see that happen with my students, I try and put that in the memory bank. And so like when you're struggling later on, be like, but remember when that happened? Like that was such a cool moment. Those always bring me joy. And, I find that happens for me personally too, when, I have my own sort of light bulb moments or my own sort of aha, like realizing why things came together the way they did or why that was successful, and really kind of celebrating those moments. And so I think for me, a lot of the finding joy is just realizing where it's coming from and appreciating those moments, even if they are small moments. So just trying to be more present and more conscious about appreciating what's happening while it's happening, and just kind of uh, spending a little more time paying attention to those moments and helping them bring me a little bit more joy.
beautiful and well said too.
Thank
Excellent.
you.
Like,
Thank you.
I think you and we're sitting in the same pod. We're two peas in
Yeah.
a pod, Tim. When you said having moments of just like silent and just being in the moment and being present, 100%. I think that like when people hear the word joy, they like think of really exciting eyes and like big smiles and stuff. But joy can be like those quiet moments of reflections and ahas that, can take your breath away or bring tears to your eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And that can happen anywhere, any place, anytime. And for me, the joy comes in the parts of life that are unscripted. I didn't expect this student to do this. I didn't expect that person
Yeah.
to walk through that door. I didn't expect that person to have that response. And yeah, so my best friend when I was in high school, her name is Jessica Hoffman. She talked a lot about gratitude when I was a kid, when we were in high school. And I was just like, that's lame.
Mm.
What are you talking about? What's this journal? Why are you asking me questions? But she's like one of the most level-headed women that I know now.
Mm-hmm.
I remember she was like counseling for adults who are transitioning and have needs, and it was just like from since then, she's always had that premise and that understanding of like, we are here beyond like the here. And so if we're going to be here, let's be fully present and let's just be grateful for being here and being together. So, yeah, I think I have so many kids from like last year or 2 years ago that still stop in my room. Sometimes my classroom, especially during the lunch period, which doesn't bring me joy because I'm like, it's my lunch period. I need to eat. but they're like in my room, and it's a kind of a funny running joke, but like I'll have a student from like last year or 2 years ago come in, they'll be like, how many students in this classroom do you actually teach right now?
Yeah. Yep.
And I'll be like,
Yep.
two. There's like 20 people in my freaking room. It's not even a class, you know? But that brings me joy that they found comfort in my space with me, or just being around each other's aura, and they're finding joy with each other.
Hmm.
And that's not even an engagement. I'm just like over here doing my thing, and they're over there doing their thing, and it brings me joy. Um, of course, the work brings me joy, and
Yeah.
getting a chance to teach art education allows me to be flexible and unique and imaginative and generative. So every year it can be something completely different. I don't have to stick
Hmm.
to, this is the math standard, make sure you're hitting
Yes.
that
Yes.
point. Like, no, we're going to create, and we're going to talk, and we're going to connect. And um, that ability brings me pure joy. Hmm.
Hmm.
Definitely.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And yeah, I don't know. I think one more on my list of things that bring me joy are the kids that just show up out of nowhere in your classroom, because it
Yeah.
it's amazing to just see that you've been able to build a community in your classroom where kids feel comfortable. It's a space where they want to be. And, I feel that any teacher that can do that, like, that is something worth celebrating. So, I mean, kudos to
Definitely.
you for that. And I think for anybody who's listening that has that in their classroom, which I think a lot of art teachers do,
Oh
like,
yeah.
yeah, and enjoy that, appreciate that, because it's a very cool thing. So,
Yeah. It's a good
um,
gift.
okay, and so as we're kind of talking about all these things that bring us joy, I want to ask you if teachers are more ready to find that joy this year, because obviously it's been very trying, like very difficult few years for teachers, but feel like we maybe have turned a page now. Like, do you think teachers are ready this year to talk about joy again? Like, are they ready to get back into, what we've called forever, saying we have the greatest job in the world? Are we able to say that again,
Mm.
that we're back to having the greatest job in the world?
I think that it's it tells you more about who you are and what you care about if you are ready to accept joy and where you are. And I'm not going to
Yeah.
shame anybody for being in a different headspace. Like we're post pandemic, right?
Hmm.
The normal issues are still rising. We're still in um, a high safety hazard awareness in schools right now, right? Like there's real
Yeah.
issues that are going on. The economy sucks. There's a teacher shortage. Like
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
a teacher shortage. Um, but I will say this: when I like went to the conference, or whenever I'm in a space with other art educators and I look around, I'm like, wow, y'all want to be here and you want to be connected. That says something. Even if you have like that disposition of like, wow, the world is coming to an end. You you woke up, you got dressed, and you made it here, and you are a part of something. And yeah, not only do I think that teachers are ready for joy, I think that there is an active support for bringing in more joy. Um, I see it in the type of professional developments that are being available now to art educators,
Hmm.
how to infuse joy. Um, Shout out to Dana Joy Helwig, who does task parties or exposed me to task parties. If you don't know what a task party is, message me or look out for Dana. I don't know. It's like a weird way to say that, but like it's just a collaborative way of getting to know each other and having fun.
Hmm.
And you can do it at any age or any level. And I've done it with adults, and I did it with my high school students. And I had these girls running down the hallway with their legs taped together. I'm just saying that's one of the tasks. I'm not saying you have to do it. It's just one of the tasks. But it's like, yes, things like that. We're ready for joy. Jamie Warren, she does Whoop De Doo, and I love I got introduced to her this summer as well, and the programs that she's got going on. She's based here, I think, in Brooklyn with a larger programming group. But they go everywhere nationwide, and what it is that their program goes to schools or goes with communities, and they just like make performances, and they make like performance art and installations
Hmm.
from nothing, boxes of paper, tissue, whatever's available with students, and they bring joy to the community, and they connect local artists with the students and make stuff happen. And if I'm noticing a lot of people being interested in things like that, it's because there's a need for that connection. Um,
Hmm.
there's a need for our community to like look forward to something and to be excited and engaged in
Yeah. Yeah.
something that might be really weird, you know?
Yeah. No, I love that though. And just, I think a lot of people are just looking for any opportunity to find that and to celebrate that. So I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Last question for you, I guess, as we're talking about all of these places that we're, finding that happiness, finding that joy. But what would be your advice for someone who wants to find more joy in their own teaching? Like what should we notice through the day? Or, what should we think about? What should we reflect on? Like what are the things where people can sort of focus in or be intentional about if they want to discover that joy again this year?
Yeah, that's what I made a note about. So I love that question. So I think if you didn't pick it up by now, gratitude in the small things. Um,
Mm-hmm.
if it's that person that you don't teach anymore, and they might have even failed your class, they decided to sit in your room and talk to you about yesterday it was strawberry lemonade from Starbucks, and I was like, I don't even teach you. I remember you dropped my class actually,
Yeah.
but that's what it was. I enjoyed that person's presence coming into my life and wanting to share themselves with me and seeing something in me that brought me joy. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I think co-creating joy with your students, we don't always like as art educators, we're the ones that think like I have the helm, I'm the one in charge.
Right. Right.
I gotta make the assignments. It's like, no, you actually don't have to make the assignments. You actually don't have to be the source of everything. So relinquishing, sharing that power, sharing that authority with your students to create joy. This past week, I have my students presenting skills and artworks and art assignments that they would give each other. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and it's been great. And the conversations have been like tangent, like sparking inspiration and imagination. And they're doing it themselves, and I get to just be a part of it. And that's been really cool. So co creating joy, 100%. Um, being reflective, being honest with yourself, and also being honest with your student. When you're not high energy, and you can kind of tell through my personality, I'm like somebody that's got lots of high energy. But I
Yeah.
have my days. They call me my Beyonce days or my spicy days, where I'm just like, can you get out of my face? Like, can you give me some space? Back
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
And they're cool with it. They understand it. It's not like I'm the first person or first adult that they've ever been around that's got a little, you know, that goes up and down, that has highs and lows.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so, yeah, I'm just a little bit more honest with them of like, hey, I'm not feeling it today. And those actually end up being some really good days. They like behave better when I don't feel well.
I've had that happen for sure. You just go in and, like you said, be honest with them. You know what? I'm not feeling it today. I didn't sleep well. I'm kind of sick. Like, they're good. And I remember there's one day, I lost my voice. And
See?
I was like, I can't even project, so y'all have to be real quiet when I'm trying to talk. And you could have heard a pin drop the whole day. And I was like, this is amazing. I love this.
I taught my fourth grade with no voice one time, and they were sweethearts. I actually pretended to not have a voice for 2 more days after that. Yes, because it was so good. I was like,
Yeah, I love it.
and then they caught me. It was really bad. But that was a joyful moment. I was like, I'm healed. Okay, I'll stop. I'll stop. And then I wrote down legacy, thinking beyond the present moment. What do you want them to know? Like, it's kind of like you wake up and you're like, I don't know. I want them to know that I'm a good person, and you
Hmm.
know, and I think that they're good people too. It could be that simple, and something like
Yeah.
that can bring joy, just like something small that you hold with you. I just want them to know I'm a good person, and I want them to know that I think that they're good people too.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. So, very well said, Candice. I appreciate all of that. We'll go ahead and wrap things up there, but thank you so much for coming on, having this conversation with me. I think it's an important one, and I really appreciate your perspective. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you too.
I loved that conversation with Candice. She had so many great ideas, and honestly, I'm feeling inspired right now. So I loved her shout out to those teachers that are supporting joy and finding ways to spread happiness from their classroom. Also, the idea of being intentional with your teaching, of creating joy with your students, of finding gratitude in the small things. So I want to leave you with that. And I hope you can take a moment for yourself to think about where you can find joy in your day-to-day life, whether inside or outside of your teaching. And I hope that joy is there for you. Art Ed Radio is produced by the Art of Education University with audio engineering from Michael Crocker. Thank you, as always, for listening,